Hey everyone, today we've got something that should be pretty easy to work on. It's an old, I guess 1950s Craftsman drill that I picked up at the flea market, really just because it's an interesting style that's not really seen anymore. Let's take a look. So this is a Craftsman, see if we can read the model number there. Model 315.7790, I think. Oh, this number here might mean it was made in 57. I don't really know enough about these, but it's got a couple issues. It's filthy, of course. And hi, Muggsy. The trigger is actually jammed, and the cord and the strain relief actually aren't bad. And here's something interesting. Look at this. The cord actually says Craftsman on it. So this is the original cord. It does have, came with this, the key. So not bad for $7. It looks like it's pretty easy to take apart. So I got to take it apart and see if I can get the switch working. It's not the locking pin. You can see that's not locked. So it's not that. But it looks pretty easy to take apart. And then we can take this front off and grease it and clean it up. All right, so let's get busy. All right. Oh, you're gonna take my seat? All right, so first thing, let's take a look at this. I haven't tried it yet. I'm pretty sure it probably works, but the switch is stuck, and so that's why it was retired, I guess. It's odd how nice the cord is, though. I mean, really, I'm not going to need to replace this cord. It's a little dry, but the fact that it's the original Craftsman cord, it's an interesting screw here, this one. I mean, I could rewire it. I'm going to be right in there. I just don't know if I need to put a new power cable on it. All right. What is going on with this switch? Probably pop it. The screwdriver. Okay, so there's that. All right, gonna give me a little bit more room, Muggsy. All right, so oh. But it does. It locks tight every time you push it in. Well, that was a little easier to move. Maybe it's just really gummed up, but I'll show you inside. It doesn't look that bad. It's tough to see in there, but it doesn't look all that bad. Huh. So weird. All right. Let's inspect the rest of the wiring and all that while we're in here. All right, Muggsy. Can't really see much. It's dirty. It's not that dirty. Not for something this old. Let's see what we can do to clean that out. I'll be right back. Well, much as I hate to, let's take this thing out, see what it's doing. else is holding this in. It's really strange. Aha. All right, I think I found it. Okay, so we have a metal pin right there. See that? It's out of where it should be, I think. And so when you see that, that's certainly not supposed to do that. Sorry if it's not zooming in right. All right, so let me hold this and hit the trigger. Yeah, that is definitely not what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stay in there. So let me see if there's something I can do to fix that. All right, so this piece here is clearly bent. How that happened, I don't know. But let's try to get the pin into the right space first. Like that. And now let me get a pair of locking pliers. Maybe I can push it in. Again, let me grab it for a close up. And you can see. All right, so I put the pin. I was able to move the pin into the spot, but see how this is bent? Pretty sure that's not supposed to be bent, and that's why the pin is unlocking. So all right, here's a close-up of this piece. I've got it very much straightened out, so I just got to pull that spring out and then slide the pin back in, and this should hold fine. So, I didn't bend it much, but it's holding the pin now. And does the lock pin work? Yes. Okay, so now we're just gonna put this thing back together. All right, and when you're in place, is it gonna work? Yep. Okay. Well, that was an easier fix than even I anticipated. So you see, even the strain relief here is in good shape. So I'm kind of optimistic that this thing did not see an incredible amount of use. All right, lock down. That works. Nice. Our wiring is good, so I'm not going to worry about that. Let's just bolt this puppy back together. Again, as I put it back together, don't tighten all the screws, just kind of snug them so you get all the screws in, and then you can tighten them up. Oh, you know what? Before I do this, I'm going to wire brush all these guys. Because I'm going to polish this drill up. Always wear a glove while doing this.
We get a before after. So here's before after.
You can also do this step with steel wool if you don't happen to have a bench grinder handy. All right, let's put these guys back in. This way, when I polish this drill up, I don't have to worry so much about getting those screws. Again, just kind of snug them till you got all four in place. Okay, once they're all in, you can snug them up. Or tighten them up, rather. All right, let's look in here and see how well this drill is greased. I believe the gearing is right behind here. We have Phillips. These are Phillips screws. That's interesting. I'll be right back. So we've got a mix of Phillips and flathead on this guy. No idea why that would be. That one hasn't been off in a while. And the short one goes there. All right, let's see what's behind here. You're gonna be able to get in without taking the chuck out? I don't know. Should be able to. It just feels like it just doesn't want to let go. Oh, we go. All right. Yeah, that grease is bad. Not great. It's pretty hard.
Can you see that? I can't see the camera, so I'm guessing. But you can see that.
Yeah, I gotta dig out this grease. And then I'll re-grease it, put it back together, and then we can test it. All right. Plastic bag here to take all this grease, because it's not bad. It's bad. It's not ideal, that's for sure. It was still working, but it was probably reaching the end of its usable lifespan. Starting to get it in there. All right, so here's the motor. Be a little bit more careful with what we do here. We don't want to get WD-40 in there. So the best I'm going to do is wipe it down. And then I'm going to use the dry lube for it. There's a lot of caked in grime here. All right. This thing mostly cleaned out. All right. Now we can pack it with grease. Let me hit these guys with the wire brush, and I'll be right back. Mostly cleaned out here. Let's pack some grease in there if I've got enough left in that tube. I had to get another pair of gloves. I don't want to be packing grease in this thing without gloves on, because this stuff, it gets on you, and then the smell doesn't go away. All right, so we're just gonna pump it in. Make sure anything that moves has grease on it. This bearing in here puts them on that. Same in here. Put some. And there. Should be enough. You don't need to go too crazy with these things, but you definitely want everything coated well. If I were on the assembly line and this was brand new and I knew this thing was going to be seeing 70 years of additional use, I'd probably put some more grease in there. In fact, I think I will put a little bit more in there. All right. Now let's try to get this guy to go back together. Got it. Okay. I did clean off the screws, but I did not clean very well in there. Phillips, I forgot about that. So here's a slight oddity here in Craftsman tools. So this is a Craftsman USA, and it's the blue and lucite, right? It's a Phillips, and usually the Craftsmans that are flathead are red. But here's a Craftsman USA, which is actually a flathead, and it's blue. I don't know why that would be. Our trigger seems to work. All right, we are ready to give this thing a test drive. What do you say we get right into it? Let's get rid of these greasy gloves. Put on the regular gloves. See what it does. I'm thinking it's gonna kick right on. Cord looks to be in decent shape. All right, let's make sure we're rolling here for this very important step. All right, and one-handed, just because you never know if I did something wrong, but I didn't even rewire this guy. Let's go. Sounds good. Actually, really good. This thing sounds excellent. The switch works fine now. Will switch lock work? All right, let's oil inside the chuck. That is pretty tight. Let me get my oil can. All right, pretty easy to oil a drill chuck. We're just going to put a little oil in there. We're going to put some up here. Actually, we're going to back it all the way down. I'm going to put some on each of these 3 tabs and inside, and then around the edge, and then we're going to go the other way. Go back down. And look at that. Now it spins real easy, like magic. Let's check in here for grime. I'm sure there's a lot buried in here. Some, not bad. All right. It's good. All right, so let's clean up. Let's clean up the drill chuck, and how I do that. A different view of it this time. So how I do that is I run the bench grinder with the wire brush, and I run the drill. So we'll put this all the way out. So for me to see this. Pretty close. Now it's pretty much cleaned up. You can read it, see what it says on it. Oh yeah, you can read it quite clear. It's just got oil all over it, obviously. Let's wipe that up and see. It says that the chuck says Supreme Chuck. 44 something that's too small for my eyes to actually see. Oh, 4A. 4A. All right, chuck's clean. Let's clean the body. All right, to clean this guy and shine it up. Yeah, it's got grease on it. So we're gonna use this heavy metal polish from Chemical Guys, but first I'm gonna use the WD-40 trick to kind of clean it, get all the dirt and grime off of it. See how quick that works? This is why you don't spray it in your motors. All right, so I'll make one point here. Don't wipe down your badge. Keep this, the WD-40, and keep the polish off that badge, because the paint on that badge will come right off. I'm actually quite surprised by how quickly the WD-40 is cleaning this one. It's actually quite remarkable. This is just kind of a worn out, of course, Scotch-Brite pad, or dishwasher sponge, I guess. But it's the same thing. So just with the WD-40, look at how much nicer it looks. And I did not do the most thorough job of it either. It's a lot easier now to see what we've got to work with. Kind of wish this came off. If I could remove it, I wouldn't have to worry so much about getting polish on it, but all right. I'm gonna move over to the polish phase. So my first coat, I'm going to use polish and steel wool. Again, don't get it on the badge. Curious at how shiny this actually will go. I don't know what the original color even was. This appears to be a cast piece, so I wouldn't expect it's gonna just shine right up. But you never know. It's all about how much time you actually want to spend on it. Okay, let's wipe this coat off and see what we got. Not bad. Alright, so this is a couple coats. I did end up putting a coat of the light metal polish on it as well. I'm just gonna use this screwdriver to kind of get out any residual polish that got stuck. Right in there. All right, let's give it a final wipe down, and that's probably about as far as I'm gonna take this one. I know I could go more and more with it, but you can see it's got a lot of scratches on it that are kind of gonna be limiting how shiny it gets, but it looks like if you really wanted to, you could polish this thing up to a mirror finish. For me, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to put that much time into this guy. All right. Overall, looks pretty good. And it's ready to go back to work. All right, the last step You know, I said the cord was dry. It's not bad, it's not cracked, but it's dry. So I'm going to treat it with this, which softens up old rubber. It's very good for weather stripping on cars, things like that. So I'm just going to rub it on it. I'll do the strain relief as well. This is what I used on the bed covers on my Avalanche that were leaking a little bit around the rear panel seal. Put this on, leak stopped. An interesting scent to it, almost like pine. Not really sure what's in it. Probably would have been easier to just change the power cord, but the fact that this cord is not bad and it's an original Craftsman cord made me want to give this alternate method a try. I'm sure not a lot of these still have factory Craftsman cords on them. All right, now I'm just gonna make sure I got it all over it. It gets absorbed into it pretty quickly too. All right. All right, that's it. This was a pretty easy drill to work on. Since I was able to keep the original power cord, I didn't even have to rewire it. I just had to kind of figure out how to repair the switch. Now the switch, being in something this old, was actually just basic mechanics to fix it. It just needed some metal bent back into shape, the pin put back with the spring, and it works as good as new. I don't think this drill's seen a lot of use. That switch may have been a reason for why it was retired early. This drill is tight. I mean, it's not, the bearings, everything feels like brand new. So maybe I'll use it occasionally, but you know, tools this old, everybody uses cordless now. But anyway, if you like this sort of content, please like and subscribe. I've always got more coming. And hey, if you've got an old drill like this, you see one at a flea market, maybe it was your father's, your grandfather's, and you want to restore it, it's pretty easy. Don't be intimidated. Just go out, get busy. Take care.